Let's bring in my personal weatherman. Yes, I have a personal weatherman. Can you believe that? And I have to because I go so many places and do so many things. And the guy you're looking at is Joe Bastardi. He's in Pennsylvania. He's a big shot in the weather world. He hosts a show called The Wise Guys of Weather on radio stations across the country. And okay, Bastardi, so give it to me straight. Did the media overhype Milton?
Well, I don't think so. I think that it did what a storm of that nature was supposed to do. Was for now. See, one of the problems is that the Saffir-Simpson scale is very much outdated. We've been using what we call a power and impact scale, Bill, which just doesn't take into account the wind at the center, but how far out the wind goes and how strong it is away from the center. So what you had with Milton was you had Category 3 damage in a relatively small area, but you have a widespread area of Florida with Category 1 and 2 damage, and that piles up. So the metric is Hurricane Ian a couple of years ago, right, for how much damage was done to Florida. This went through Ian hit further south, but came through the I-4 corridor and came off the Florida East Coast. So we'll have something to compare it to as far as how bad it was. But I hear this after every storm. It's either, it was worse than what they said or whatever. I just have to concern myself. What did we tell our clients? What am I telling the public? And what did I do in front of my Heavenly Father, rather than pay attention to all this other stuff that goes
okay.
Goes
and
on?
You were fairly accurate in your assessment. Now, Florida is in the danger zone, and so is Louisiana and Texas, Gulf Coast. This is not ever going to stop. These hurricanes have been going on since Ponce de Leon showed up in Florida looking for the Fountain of Youth, and he got wind in his face and said, yeah, maybe it's not here. Would that discourage you, the storms that we have every year, from moving down to Florida or the Southeast?
Well, you went through a long hurricane drought in Florida. We haven't had a major hurricane hit Southeast Florida, for instance, from Miami or West Palm Beach since 1992 with Hurricane Andrew. New England is in an unbelievable, Long Island, New England's in an unbelievable hurricane drought. We used to have one every 6 or 7 years. We haven't had one since 1991. That's amazing to think about that. So what happens is you see the cyclical nature of this. 2020 was a hurricane season like this. 2005, the congregation of tracks was around the Gulf of Mexico. Our December 7th forecast on Weather Bell, and I put it out on Twitter, said a hurricane season from hell was going to occur in 2024, centered where you see it now. I don't have a crystal ball. I just look at weather patterns and how they evolve. So this hurricane season so far is no surprise, but you have to remember that while one area is getting it, there are large areas that aren't getting anything at all. We're at record low levels in the Pacific Ocean in a lot of places, for instance. And I just brought up New England, where you live in Long Island. It's amazing. Yeah, I thought Henri was going to try to be the hurricane, and it fell apart a few years ago.
Yeah, so, Joe was at my house when I was coming in, but we had Sandy, which was terrible.
But that hit New Jersey.
That hit New York, Joe. Believe me, it caused a lot of that. But look, I have one more question for you, and so far you've been very factual and you're very accurate, and that's why you're my personal weatherman. Are the storms that we are seeing here in the United States more ferocious than they used to be?
They get just as strong at the center, and they get stronger. They may get stronger faster because they're approaching the coast in a certain way, which causes the air to converge more toward the center. But they're smaller. They're much smaller than they used to be. Carla, for instance, Dan Rather broke his, into the media business with Carla. That gave hurricane force winds to all the Texas coast. Harvey, also a Category 4, 100 miles wide. Betsy versus Ida, 1944 hurricane, 500-mile wide diameter of hurricanes. So what happens is, it depends. Is it Steve Carlton when he was throwing 100 miles an hour, or when he had the wicked slider? Either way, it depends on how you look at it.
Either way, you're going to get it. But there's no, a lot of these people hype that we're now in superstorm territory. Are we done now? Is that it for the hurricane season this year?
No, I don't believe so. We've been telling our clients there'll be one more attempt coming out probably coming out of the Western Caribbean, the last week of October, first week of November. Then we'll close it. What's fascinating is that a late hurricane season like this usually means cold in December in the run up to Christmas. So that might be interesting. There's a reason for that. We won't get into it until I have to tell you you're going to get a foot of snow at your house.
Yeah, please call me. All right. Joe Bastardi, everybody. Appreciate it, Joe. Thanks. Good to see you. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.